Hello, welcome to Just the Dis. We talk about Blu-rays here. My name is Brian, and I'm doing a little collection update with you guys here. I've got four 4Ks and a bunch of Blu-rays to talk about. I'll talk about some of the 4Ks at the top here, and then I'm saving one 4K for the end. So stick around if you want to hear about that one. We'll start with the big guns. We'll start with Maniac Cop 2. And I've talked about Blue Underground on the channel before. They are doing some incredible work in the 4K arena. Their transfers are top of the line, and I haven't been underwhelmed by a single one yet. And this is no exception. This is an incredible sequel, and it's a sequel that I like better than I think the original movie. It's directed by Bill Lustig. It stars Robert Z'Dar returning as the Maniac Cop, and as you can see, Robert Davi as well. But this is just one of those movies. It's kind of like, Jason Takes Manhattan Again, I guess, if you will. And it's a great thing that sequels can sometimes just kick right into it. Start off right out of the gate, without having to establish the character. We know this guy. We know what he does. We know what he's capable of. He's an unstoppable killing machine. He's a Terminator. And in fact, there's even a scene that's very similar to the sort of police station attack in the Terminator in this film. And the stunt work is just out of this world. I mean, I think it opens with sort of the end of the original movie. I can't really remember how that movie ends, honestly, but one of the stunts is a van truck driving off a pier and a guy hanging out the side, and he jumps off the truck, and it's crazy. It's filled with stunts that kind of make you go, how did nobody get hurt doing this? Just absolutely astonishing stunt work. A woman handcuffed to a steering wheel hanging out the side of a car as it careens down a street, trying to control the car and not hit people, and dragging from the side of the car. A fight between two guys on fire, like not CGI fire, real fire. And it's just, I don't know. There's just mind-blowing stuff in here. And it's just a great slasher movie, great stunt work. It's out of control. The basic idea is that the Maniac Cop is loose, and he's going after cops. He's going after people, I guess, he feels have wronged him. And at the same time, there's a serial killer on the loose who's going after strippers, and they become friends and start hanging out, which is a weird turn. But and then Robert Davi is there to sort of get involved in the case. Bruce Campbell's in the movie for a little bit. And then it's got Claudia Christian from The Hidden, who's also in Freaks and Geeks. She was Bill's mom on Freaks and Geeks. And Michael Lerner, Laurie Landon, Clarence Williams III has a nice little small role. Danny Trejo shows up for 2 seconds. It's a blast of a movie, and you have the right to remain silent forever. Great tagline. But yeah, these transfers look fantastic. This is no exception. With this one, you get your Blu-ray and your 4K there. And some solid extras on this. Audio commentary with director Bill Lustig and filmmaker Nicholas Winding Refn. Really great track. Really enjoyable. I wouldn't have put those two together on a commentary necessarily. I wouldn't have thought that was a thing. But it sort of lines up now that I think about it. And a great track that's on both the Blu-ray and the 4K. The 4K only has an isolated music track and the commentary, but the Blu-ray includes that commentary, and then Back on the Beat, the making of Maniac Cop 2, Cinefamily Q&A with director Bill Lustig, deleted scenes, trailers, etc. So there's lots of stuff to hear about this movie in terms of the stunts and just how it was made, and it's just a really great story, on top of being a good sequel. And so I know it's not, October anymore. Maybe people aren't thinking about horror movies as much, but this is like an action horror movie. It's really a lot of fun and worth your time. And so I do recommend it, and it's a great transfer, like I said, as usual. And coming out the same day is Maniac Cop 3. And this, I'll be honest, isn't quite as good as the other two films, but, and you can see, it's directed by Alan Smithy, so the credit is not one that anyone wants to take. But and there's an audio commentary with director Alan Smithy, and a wrong arm of the law, making a Maniac Cop 3, deleted scenes. But yeah, this one I don't like quite as much, but again, the transfer is stunning. If you want a good-looking 4K transfer of this film, you're not going to be let down by this. You really won't. When Officer Kate Sullivan storms a hostage situation, the whole incident is captured on tape by an unscrupulous media crew who edit the footage to show Kate killing a helpless victim. Now in a coma, Kate's only hope is Detective Sean McKinney, who desperately tries to clear her name, but unbeknownst to him, Maniac Cop Matt Cordell takes it upon himself to exact revenge upon those responsible for smearing her name. Returning stars Robert Davi and Robert Zedar are joined by Paul Gleason. I love that you get Paul Gleason and Robert Davi back in the same movie after Die Hard. That's kind of fun. Let's see here. Doug Savant, Jackie Earle Haley, Robert Forster. This movie does have a good cast. I don't want to badmouth the movie. I actually like the movie. I just don't love the movie, and I don't like it as much as Maniac Cop 2. But that cast is really impressive and makes the movie worth watching. It's in this thrilling third entry of Maniac Cop creator Larry Cohen. Let's see here. Now, Blue Underground's killer restoration of Maniac Cop 3 Badge of Silence, scanned in 4K from the original uncensored negative, is presented with Dolby Vision HDR and a new Dolby Atmos audio mix, which, by the way, same thing for Maniac Cop 2. Dolby Vision HDR and new Dolby Atmos mix. Sounds fantastic. I should comment on the sound more. Yeah, I mean, these are just outstanding 4K releases. So that's Maniac Cop 3. Like I said, if you're into this cast, I think you would enjoy this film. And like I said, it's a really strong cast. And so definitely worth your time. Maniac Cop 3 on 4K. Then I've got one from Kino, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, directed by Philip Kaufman. The year before he did The Wanderers, which I love. This 4K also looks fantastic. It includes a ton of extra features, but just in case you're unaware, this is, of course, a remake of the 1956 Don Siegel original film about the pod people and, basically alien spore people coming down to Earth and, replacing human beings with replicas of themselves, of those people that are, these aliens, and they're joining together to sort of take over. And it's a scary movie. It's a downbeat movie. It fits in with the sort of downbeat endings of some 70s films that we used to see back then. And I'm a big fan. It's obviously one of those that you use in a case when you're talking about a remake that bests the original. And I like both films quite a bit, but you can make a big case that this might be the strongest in the entries of all the Body Snatchers films, and there's several. I do like the Abel Ferrara Body Snatchers movie too, but this one is top notch. Of course, it has Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, Leonard Nimoy, Jeff Goldblum, Veronica Cartwright. Donald Sutherland works for the health department with Brooke Adams, and we get to see him at the beginning sort of doing his job and getting harassed for doing his job. He is a bit of a hard nose about it, but that said, he's just doing what he's supposed to do. And Brooke Adams is married, I think, to this guy played by Art Hindle from The Brood, who starts acting funny, and then things sort of spin out from there. Some good Easter eggs, some good cameos, things, that remind you of the original film, and an incredibly well-shot movie. This is shot by Michael Chapman, who, did Taxi Driver and just has this incredible eye. One of the greatest cinematographers, I think, ever, in the conversation with Gordon Willis and Connie Hall, and just, some of the best cinematographers ever to work. And he does a great job, and his framings look fantastic in here. And there's a great commentary track with Philip Kaufman, which I think is ported over from, I don't know, DVD or Blu-ray. And he talks about the film noir stylings of it, the framings that they were going for, the lighting, things that gave that paranoid edge to it. But there is definitely a through line of noir stylistics that run through this that I had noticed, but not as much as when I was listening to Philip Kaufman talk about the movie and specific shots. There's a great shot of, actually several great shots of Donald Sutherland's face silhouetted, with ultraviolet, or not, black light. I don't know what kind of light on it, just crazy lighting on his face. And there's just a ton of stuff like that. There's a lot of cool angles, things that just make you feel off. And that's all deliberate. It's all done to really, up the sense of paranoia that this film delivers in the best possible way. I mean, this is one of the great paranoid films of the 70s, and there are a lot of great paranoid films in the 70s. And then we got a ton of extra features here. That commentary by Kaufman, commentary by Steve Haberman, Star-Crossed Invasion, interview with Brooke Adams, Recreating the Invasion, interview with screenwriter W.D. Richter, who of course also wrote and directed Buckaroo Banzai. Recreating the Invasion, Scoring the Invasion, interview with composer Danny Zeitlin. Leading the Invasion, interview with actor Art Hindle. Rewriting the Pod, interview with Jack Finney, expert Jack Seabrook. Revisitors from Outer Space, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Pod featurette. Very cool. Practical Magic, the Special Effects Pod featurette. The Man Behind the Scream Sound Effects Pod. The Invasion Will Be Televised Cinematography Pod. That's a cool one for sure. And then some extra stuff there. I don't think this has... Oh, it does have alternate artwork. So you've got some cool alternate artwork. Which I may flip it actually right now. Just so I have it. Because I have the slip already, so why not? So that's what that looks like. But okay, so you've got your Blu-ray and your 4K. You get both. Great set. Great movie and a great 4K transfer. Kino Lorber has really stepped it up and is doing good work. On to some other stuff. From Shout Factory, we have from Laika Studios, Coraline. This is one of my daughter's favorite films of all time. A very dark fable about a little girl who moves into a remote house with her parents. She finds a doorway in the house to this other world with her other mother and her other father that have button eyes and are trying to entice her to stay there. This is when she goes to sleep. And then it sort of becomes one of those things where dreams and reality start to cross over, and it's up to Coraline to sort of sort things out and solve the problems that she needs to and defeat the evil that she needs to. But she's got lots of interesting neighbors. There's a great song by They Might Be Giants. This, of course, is based on the Neil Gaiman book, which I got my daughter too, and which she likes. But yeah, she loves this movie. It's been out on Blu-ray before, but these new special edition Blu-rays from Shout Factory with slipcases are very cool in that they have new features on them, and they're great. Lots of fascinating stuff about the making of these films, and the making of these films is inherently fascinating because it's, stop motion animation. It's just really, really cool stuff. So you have the new Inside Laika Discovering the Characters of Coraline, featuring never before seen test footage. New Inside Laika Revisiting the Puppets with Laika's animation team. New character concept art and behind the scenes photo galleries, and then an audio commentary with director Henry Selick and composer Bruno Coulet. Henry Selick, of course, Nightmare Before Christmas. He is one of the greats of all time for this kind of film. James and the Giant Peach, others. Original featurettes are included, deleted scenes, feature-length storyboards, making of Coraline. So all the stuff that would have been included in the original Blu-ray is here as well. So you can just toss that, and you get a whole bunch more. So this is highly recommended. I think kind of a modern classic if your kid is okay with dark movies. And so we got this one, and with it, we get Paranorman, also a new Blu-ray and DVD. I should say there's a DVD also included in this. And Paranorman is one that, came out around the time Coraline came out, a little after, I want to say. But this movie, we watched it the other night, and it was one of those things where my son was commenting that my daughter hadn't watched this one in rotation quite as much as Coraline. In fact, almost not at all. And in rewatching the movie, I came to understand why that was. This movie is actually kind of scary. And when we showed it to her when she was very young, I think we realized we were kind of in over our heads. And we probably thought that about Coraline to a degree. There was a point when she started saying, "Are you my other mother? Are you my other father?" Where we were like, okay, maybe we should put Coraline away for a while. This was when she was very young. She's older now. But this one, I would describe it as a horror film made for kids, or I guess a kid's horror film. I don't know how to put it right, because there aren't too many movies like this, because it legitimately has some scary moments. You have this kid who can see and talk to dead people, and there's this crazy, bizarre effect that will happen when he's having a moment where the room just disintegrates around him, and suddenly he's in a new space with the dead people, and it's kind of scary. And so I realized that we didn't show this to her a lot because of that. But it's a good movie. It's definitely aware of its predecessors, in terms of zombie movies. It opens with like a fake zombie movie on TV that's, pretty funny. And there's lots of silly characters, like, his sister, voiced by Anna Kendrick, Casey Affleck voicing his buddy's dumb brother. Let's see here. Jeff Garlin is his dad. Leslie Mann is his mom. Christopher Mintz-Plasse is like a dumb bully guy. So there's a lot of great voices in this as well. But yeah, it's just about this kid living in this small town that has this story about settlers and, what they did. And I'm not going to spoil that too much, but there's sort of a town rooted in, zombie folklore sort of, or horror folklore. And that's something that he has to reckon with. There's a witch story that he's sort of dealing with, and it just becomes a thing where Norman feels compelled to sort of solve this. And so it's a good movie, really well animated, different design than the Coraline design, but, equally interesting. But yeah, just scarier than I remembered, but still really good, but maybe for kids just a little bit older, because those scary moments, I think, are just a little unsettling in a way. Anyway, again, new features on this one. New Inside Laika discovering the characters and effects of Paranorman, featuring, again, never-before-seen test footage. New Inside Laika revisiting the puppets with Laika's animation team. New feature-length storyboards. New character concept art and behind-the-scenes photo galleries. Audio commentary with writer-director Chris Butler and co-writer Sam Fell. Peering Through the Veil. And the original featurettes, again, so you can toss anything else you have, probably. But yeah, really nice set from Shout Factory. Definitely recommend both of these, this being my favorite of the two. All right, what do we got? Okay. One more from Shout Factory. We have the Don Knotts 5-film collection. This one took a little while to get to me, but definitely worthwhile, especially because it includes The Love God, which is one of my favorite underrated Don Knotts movies, a movie that Larry Karaszewski turned me on to years ago, and it's just a really crazy movie about a guy who runs a bird-watching magazine that gets roped into a scheme. Again, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, but just so people know, I had somebody ask me, oh, that's great. I hate these things here because they sometimes slip out, but I think it'll just pop right back in. Okay, so somebody said, are they all on individual disc? Because, for instance, some of these have come out. Ghost of Mr. Chicken, I think Reluctant Astronaut has already been out from Universal. And so we have it like this. basically. You have Ghost of Mr. Chicken and Reluctant Astronaut on one disc, Shakiest Gunfighter in the West and The Love God on another disc, and How to Frame a Fig on the last disc. And you have some features on here. Don Knotts guest stars on The Red Skelton Show, Dead and the Gunslingers, and some trailers from hell. Not a ton of features, but it's just nice to have all these Don Knotts movies in one place, as I'm a fan of him and his work. And I just got to watch How to Frame a Fig for the first time, which I enjoyed. A very goofy movie, again, about Knotts, kind of like The Love God, where he's like a character that's not so sharp. In this case, he's an accountant that is targeted by a corrupt city council. The mayor of the town is played by Molly Ringwald's grandfather in 16 Candles, if you remember that actor. And there's a bunch of other stuff happening in that one, but it was fun. But I dug this. It was definitely worth picking up. I still don't know if I've even seen Shakiest Gun in the West, and Reluctant Astronaut's been a really long time, so I'm due for a rewatch on that one. But I do like The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. I think that's a really fun horror comedy. One thing that most of these have in common is they have scores by Vic Mizzy. And Vic Mizzy, if I'm not mistaken, did The Addams Family. I can't remember if he did The Munsters or not, but he's just got this great, I don't want to say goofy, but sort of lighthearted style of music that really just sets the tone and fits so well with Don Knotts' personality that it just makes for this cohesive cinematic concoction, if you will. And I'm not sure if he does the scores on every single one of these movies, but I'm pretty sure he does How to Frame a Fig, Ghost of Mr. Chicken. I think he does Love God, and he might do the other two as well. I don't know. I feel like it was a thing that Vic Mizzy was on a lot of these. But anyway, really nice set. Glad I snagged it. Don Knotts 5-film collection. Okay, next I've got some new films. Actually, a couple that I really liked from this year. This being one of my very favorites. Pig with Nicolas Cage. And I just got this, so I haven't had a chance to check out the bonus features yet. This came with the slipcover. I just got it at Best Buy. I already had bought this digitally, so I was like, well, I just would like to have the Blu-ray because I really do love this movie. I don't want to give away too much, but like it's one of those movies that's like, okay, got to be careful how I say this. It's like a Mandy kind of movie, but not nearly as crazy and out there as Mandy is in the way Mandy is. Okay, I don't know how to... Okay, Mandy's just an insane movie, and I love it. And I think it's just truly a cinematic amazement. This is a little different. It's a little more low-key, but very interesting and an incredible performance by Cage. Cage plays a guy who... I don't want to give away too much because I really do feel like the movie benefits from not knowing a lot. But he is a dude who lives in the remote woods, I think of Washington or something, with a pig that helps him find truffles, and he's got some deals with some restaurant tour people to get them the mushrooms, and they give him good money for that. And so he's just sort of lives in a cabin out there and makes his living that way. And then the pig gets kidnapped. And then he has to go into the city. I think it's Seattle, maybe. I don't know. And we start to find out who he is, who he was, what he used to do. And it just sort of unfolds in this beautiful way and just has a couple scenes that just completely knock you over. They're just, one of them is a dialogue scene, one of them is a kitchen scene, and the dialogue scene is in a restaurant. That's all I'm going to say. Where, you know, it's one of those scenes where you're just like, where's this going? And suddenly, boom, they're revealing something about the character, and the movie just starts to turn in a way that you're like, okay, I'm in. It might take a second for some people to be in on this one, but I really think once you go all the way through it, you won't regret it. It's just a beautiful film with an ending that has stuck with me for a long time since I first watched it, and I'm very glad to have this Blu-ray. The features, which I can't wait to check out: Nicolas Cage cooks 3 mushroom tart and pigeons and Pum's Anna, plus some deleted scenes. Sadly, no commentary from Michael Sarnowski, and I think this is his first feature, which is really impressive because it's really a well-made film, just in terms of the stylistics, in terms of, you know, the story, and yeah, I was really, really impressed with this one. Just one of those Cage movies that he made that's not a direct-to-video, and I'm not denigrating those. Like, those are actually pretty fun, but don't make the mistake of lumping this in with that. If you're a fan of that or not, this is not that. This is something else, and this is well worth your time. Pig. Okay, and then this one is the Target exclusive 4K of Free Guy, which I don't know if you can get in the stores anymore, but I found one on eBay for like $15 cheaper than Target's price. So I went ahead and got that because I really like this movie. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. I've heard people say Wreck-It Ralph meets Truman Show, and that's a decent description. You know, for those that don't know him, he plays a character in a video game, kind of like a Grand Theft Auto, and he is sort of becoming sentient. He's sort of becoming aware, and there's this whole other plot about some game developers who are trying to go into the game and see if some underhanded stuff was done, and I don't want to give away any of that stuff. But Ryan Reynolds is great. I know his character was based on Buddy the Elf. He was based on Chauncey Gardner from Being There, and he was based on Josh Bascom from Big. And if you look at all those characters and the sort of wide-eyed naivete that they have in common, I think that's a great summation of what this character is. And I really had fun with this movie. So this 4K is pretty cool. It's got a front opening thing here, and then it's a slip, but you get like these little postcard thingies in here, which is neat. And I do like the Tsunami Studios logo on the back. And then, of course, your 4K. And you get your Blu-ray inside as well. So I just had to get that because I try to buy my favorite movies in a given year, just so I always have a physical copy of them. And this was definitely one of those for me. So Free Guy definitely gets a high recommend from me. And worth your time. And then lastly, I've got my Blu-ray pick. I snagged this at a Big Lots for $3. And I don't usually go through the DVDs at Big Lots, although I have started to notice they have a lot of TV stuff. I've shown on other videos like Dr. Katz Season 1 and 2, Bosom Buddies Season 1. They have like Streets of San Francisco. They have lots of, interesting TV collections that are actually decently priced for what they are. You're getting like a whole season or a whole complete show for $20 or something. So it's really not that bad. This is a Shout Factory DVD release from Robert Altman, who is a favorite director of mine. And this is a movie I've seen, but I haven't seen it since VHS. So it's been a long time. And I always meant to pick up this DVD, but I never did. And the best possible score you can have is a movie that you always meant to get that you suddenly see for $3 at a Big Lots. And this is during a period when Altman was doing some adaptations of plays. He did things like Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean. He did Fool for Love. He did Secret Honor. I like all these movies. And Streamers is another one. This one is, let's see. Well, I'll just read the back. About to be shipped off to Vietnam, 4 young Army recruits are forced to confront their own very different backgrounds and prejudices when it's revealed that one of them is homosexual. Based on the award-winning Broadway play, David Rabe wrote the screenplay that has been masterfully directed by Academy Award winner Robert Altman. The film stars Matthew Modine, Mitchell Lichtenstein, Michael Wright, George DeSunda, Guy Boyd, and David Allen Greer in his first on-screen role. So David Rabe, as a playwright, he did that movie Hurly Burly with Sean Penn from years ago. That's what I always think of when I think of David Rabe for whatever reason. But I know he did more than that, obviously. But it's got a nice little feature on here. A look back at Streamers with the cast, including George DeSunda, Mitchell Lichtenstein, Matthew Modine, Bruce Davison, and Herbert Jefferson Jr. All those guys are in this cast. And a really nice package for $3. So I had to get it. I'm just an Altman completist. And even the ones that, this is not one of those, by the way, even the ones people think are lesser efforts in his filmography, I still want to have them. I want a Blu-ray of OC and Stiggs. I think that movie's interesting. I want a Blu-ray of The Perfect Couple. I want a Blu-ray of Quintet. I really want a Blu-ray of Quintet, actually. And since it's a Fox movie, I don't know if it's going to happen. But anyway, nice to get this on DVD. I don't see this one getting a Blu-ray anytime soon. And because this has features on it and everything, I was like, okay, I'll take it, you know. So anyway, that is the collection update for this round. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And, you know, have yourself a Blu-ray filled week of some kind if you can. Watch a Blu-ray, you know. Enjoy some physical media. And I'll be back soon with more stuff like this. Bye-bye.